In this lesson, we're going to take a look at the Houdini Workspace. At the top, you'll find a number of tools which we can use in our work. You also have the 3D viewport here, and a parameter pane, and a network editor. At the bottom, you'll see the timeline, and we'll use that a little bit later. So let's start by creating an object. We can certainly click on the sphere tool here, come into the viewport, and press Enter to place that into the shot. Now, once we have that, you'll see that there are parameters for the top level, otherwise known as the object level, and there is the node placed for that. Now you'll also see some parameters here. These represent the node down below at the geometry level, and we can actually change that to, let's say, polygon, maybe at a frequency of 8. Now this information comes from one level down. You can either double click on this node to go in and see that, or if you're up at the top level, you also have this little arrow here. You can dive down into that object and see it. As you can see, we can now manipulate some things here in the viewport as well as set parameters in here. Let's press the N key to select all the geometry. We're now going to click on the Deform tab, and we're going to click on Mountain. And what you'll see is that this particular operation deforms the geometry in all directions, and you'll see that it adds a new node into our chain here. So again, we see it in the viewport, we see the new node in the node chain, and we see the parameters for that here. And as a matter of fact, we can change that to, let's say, 1.5, and maybe change the element size to 0.67. And what you get is something a little more jagged. Now, with the node network, you can actually go to the different nodes. So we can go back to the sphere node, for instance, and say, you know what, we really could use a little bit more detail in there. So let's press 18, and you'll see that that gives us a better, more detailed shape at the end. Now we can also, let's go into here and press N to select everything. We can add nodes other ways. For instance, we can press Tab key, and we can add, let's say, color, and that will add a new node into the chain. And we can go in and say, you know what, let's make that a random set of numbers. So now they've got random numbers on all the pieces here. The other thing we could do is we could animate something on here. For instance, if we go back to the mountain node, we can go in and press the Alt key to click on these parameters here, and that will set a keyframe for them at frame 1. Use the timeline, set the values here to 1, 1, 1, and again, press the Alt key to set a keyframe. Now if we scrub through the timeline, you'll see that that's now deforming with time. Now it's a little jagged, so again, if we wanted to, we could press the N key. What we'd like to do is make a change to this, but don't do it here in the viewport. We'll do it here in the network editor. So if we press the Tab key and we type Subdivide, S-U-B-D, we can add a node here into this view and wire it up. Now at first it doesn't do anything that we can see because we have to set the display flag on this node here. But now we see a subdivided point of view of this, and we can see that animated. Now because the subdivide's at the end of the chain, it's slowing things down a little bit, but it will certainly render out fine in real time. So there you can see the different elements of the workspace. We've used the shelves up at the top. We've done some actions here in the 3D viewport, set parameters in the parameter pane, and worked with nodes here in the network. Let's go back to the object level, deselect, and there we go. That's the Houdini Workspace.